Okay, this is a one-speaker meeting. Please welcome the speaker tonight, Doug.
All right. Hi, everybody. My name's Doug Rowell, and I am a grateful alcoholic. I'm grateful to be an alcoholic, and I'm grateful to be a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. And the reason I say that is piss off the newcomers. I don't know if it does. It used to just make me mad as hell. Somebody would say I'm a grateful alcoholic, and I'd go, you're a moron. I knew I was an alcoholic. Everybody whose opinions I respected told me I was an alcoholic. I was sure I was an alcoholic. I looked like an alcoholic. I drank like an alcoholic. I walked like an alcoholic and drove like an alcoholic. But I wasn't happy about it. And and I was pretty sure that I was not the same kind of alcoholic that Alcoholics Anonymous alcoholics are. Because I knew that you guys were the kind of alcoholics that had to stop drinking. Stop. For good. One day at a time. Give me a break, you know. I know what that means. Oh, tomorrow's another day, you know. Yeah, you can drink tomorrow. Oh, no, it's today, you know. I get it. I wasn't sober, but I wasn't stupid, you know, but I was pretty sure I was the kind of alcoholic. I couldn't prove this, and I didn't really mention it to many people because I didn't want to get in a debate about it, but I was pretty sure I was the kind of alcoholic who could actually have a cold beer on a hot day. You know, I mean, a day like this where it's 104, 105 in the valley, and, you know, and you go to the chest and you before you even drink it, you know. Yeah, and the little sweat's coming down. That is appropriate adult beverage consumption, and I was pretty sure I could do that. A cold beer on a hot day, or a glass of dry red wine with a steak. You know, yes, I'll have the 14-ounce porterhouse and a dry red. What do you have, like a Merlot or a Beaujolais, perhaps, a Petit Syrah. That sounds good. You have a Petit Syrah? What year do you have? You know, appropriate adult beverage consumption. A margarita with a Mexican meal. A little sake with some sushi. You know what I'm saying? You know, or sometimes just go get a fifth of whiskey and chug it down and have an inappropriate experience. But not all the time. And that's what... I was having inappropriate experiences when I would rather have had appropriate experiences. And I knew that the alcohol had something to do with it. But I just had a feeling that I could control and enjoy my drinking. You know, I didn't know that you guys were over here laughing and saying that's the great obsession of every abnormal drinker. I was like, oh, really? And so I want to thank Michelle for inviting me to come in and do this. I like doing this. Not everybody who stands behind one of these podiums enjoys doing it. I'm just one who does. I know some really good speakers that can't stand it. They hate it when they're asked, and they hate to come and do it, and they do it, and it's like they inspire a whole room full of people. And I'm not like that. I don't know if I'm a good speaker, and I really couldn't care less. I'm the guy tonight, and you know, I'm here. You know, I'm here, and I love doing it. I think that talking at an AA meeting is the most fun you can have with your pants on. I wanted to be the speaker at the first meeting I ever went to. You know, it's just like that's just the way I'm wired. They didn't ask me. I was a little drunk that night. But I was pretty sure I could have done it, you know, if they had asked. And I want to thank my friends Lynn and Mary for coming out with me from the Valley. We go to a meeting called the Winter's Attitude Adjustment Group. It meets at 7 a.m. every day of the year at the corner of Colfax and Addison in North Hollywood. And it's for my taste, it's the best meeting in the United States. You know, doesn't mean that you would love it, especially if you had to get up at 6 to be there. But But it's a great meeting. So I have a home group. I have a sponsor. My sponsor's name is Dick Martin. He lives in Bellevue, Nebraska. He's sponsor number 6. I finally found one that is not in my face all the time. He's in Nebraska, and he's. I think he's the perfect sponsor. I think I have the perfect home group, the perfect sponsor, and the perfect sobriety date, June 7th, 1987. I just found out this month that June of 1987 was when they published the first full-color cover on the Grapevine. How cool is that, But I wasn't going to change my date anyway, but now I'm like really stuck with it. And so, I went to I didn't go to my first meeting to stay sober. I went to see what was going on. I had a couple of friends who had gotten sober, and I missed them as drinking partners. They were good drinkers. Well, up to a point, they really, both of them actually, one of them in particular really needed some help because she would just get a little crazy, she would get nuts when she drank, and that was fun for a while, but then it was like, hey, calm down, so, so like you guys, and so, but both of these people that I knew that got sober in AA, they started, you watch their lives. If you got a friend that you're used to drinking with and they get sober in AA, and if they're working the slightest little bit of a program, you see the changes in their life. They start doing like adult stuff, like showing up when they say they're going to be someplace, they are there, dressed appropriate, in the right mind, speaking in whole sentences, and I couldn't not notice that. So I thought, well, I'm going to. There's evidently something going on here, so I'm going to go and check out AA. I'm just going to go and see what it is. Because, everybody's heard of the 12 steps, and I had never heard them read or seen them anyplace. I didn't know what they were. I just knew there were 12 steps. And so I figured maybe I'll go and check out these 12 steps and see if maybe I can apply 5 or 6 of them to my seriously cutting down. And so that was my plan when I went to my first meeting. It was a Friday night speaker meeting in Van Nuys at the Valley Presbyterian Hospital. The meeting's not there anymore, but it was a pretty big meeting. There was a couple hundred people there that went there every Friday night, and I went there, and I got there early. Somebody told me, it's a good meeting to go to. It's a big meeting, they'll leave you alone. Was my first AA lie. We don't get sober and stay sober by leaving newcomers alone, but I didn't know that. So I guess what they meant is if you go to a meeting with like 8 or 9 people, you're probably going to have to talk, and there I didn't have to. So I leaned against the wall over by the double door, just minding my own business. And there was another guy on the other side of the double doors who was doing the same thing I was, leaning against the wall, and he had beard and long hair, and I figured we're like the cool section here. So we were so cool, we didn't even talk to each other. But people would come up to me and go, "Hey, you're new," and I would go, I'm new in the sense that I've never been here, but I'm not like, you know what I'm saying? You do that, yeah, but I'm not like a new member, okay? I'm not a joiner. I'm a loner, I'm okay, well, great, man. It's great to have you. You'll fit right in. I don't think I made myself clear. So the next person that came up to me said, "Hey, you're new." And I go, well, yeah, I was just telling the other guy. I am new in the sense that I've never been here before, but I'm not new like a new member joining up. I'm a loner. I'm not a joiner. I'm an outlaw. I'm a desperado, pal. You know what I'm saying? I'm a misfit. I never fit any place in my life. I never fit in school. I didn't fit in the workplace. I don't fit in my own damn family, for Christ's sake, okay? I'm a misfit. So I'm certainly not going to fit here in Alcoholics Anonymous. Hug, hug, laugh, laugh. Isn't it good we're not drinking? Great, man. Good to have you. You'll fit right in. And, and it was like this. I told everybody I talked to, and somebody said, "There's some empty seats over there if you want to sit down." I said, "Yeah, you know what, I've been here for a while, and I saw people coming in, put down a purse, put down keys, put down a jacket, no keys, no purse, no jacket. That seat's available. I get it. I'm a figure-outer, okay? But I don't know if I'm going to be able to stay. I mean, I'm pretty busy, and I might have to leave. And if I have to leave, I don't want to have to, get up and interrupt your meeting and excuse me. And so I'll just stay back here at the back. I'm comfortable. You know what I wish I had is Bluetooth. They didn't have it then, but boy, I see newcomers at meetings now with it. There's nothing that I know of that says I'm very important. I may get a call any minute and have to leave like a piece of electronic flashing jewelry in your ear, You're new, huh? And, and if you got one, if somebody comes up to you, think they're going to shake your hand or something, you can just start talking. Yeah, I'm over here. I'm at a AA meeting. There may not be anybody on the phone. You don't know. But I didn't have that. They didn't even have cell phones when I got sober. I mean, they had them. They had mobile phones, but they were big. They were in briefcases. And I didn't, only then they were expensive, too. Only like doctors and producers and people like that had them. They had pagers, though. I didn't have a pager either because nobody wanted to contact me, Why would I? But what I had was a garage door opener with a belt clip on it. So, so it looked like somebody might want to contact me. And you can walk around looking semi-important, And it's real handy when you're a practicing alcoholic because, sometimes your drink alarm goes off. You're just like talking to somebody and your head says, shut up, go drink. And so I could go, oh, I got to get this. It's pretty handy unless somebody said, what is that? It looks like my garage door opener. Because I got it for $0.25 at the Goodwill. And I'd say, yeah, it is. It's a combination. Garage door opener, pager, TV remote. So it's the latest, very coolest thing. I got one. And so I'm standing up at the back of the meeting. They started the meeting, and people read stuff like they did tonight, and they had some people took some chips. Happy congratulations to the chip takers. Happy birthday to the birthday people. And don't worry what they tell you, Sugar. You can stay sober on the fellowship right up to when you drink. And it's because you never know what's going to happen. It's sort of like buying a lottery ticket, It's like, hey, my number came up. You lose. But I've seen people do it for 20 years, so don't worry about it. And you can spot them, too. They look like a cat on a screen door. How you doing? Sober? Why? But I'm not picking on you, not any more than anybody in the room's picking on you. But 2 years is a long time between drinks. It is. It's a good deal. Was I saying anything important before I interrupted myself? I was talking about, oh, yeah, they had a birthday. They had a birthday at the first meeting, and the secretary said, we have a birthday tonight for Ruth for 18 years. And I thought, that's kind of cool. They celebrate people's birthdays, and so I'm looking around for Ruth, some 18-year-old tiny Heidi, right? So I'm in the back going, where's Ruth? And Ruth gets up, and that woman is 50 if she's a day. And the first thing I thought was, God damn, if she's 18, she should stop drinking tonight. But here's the deal. She didn't look bad. She looked good. She looked great for 50, but I mean, a little whipped for a teenager, I guess, but she had her hair done and she was made up and dressed, and she started walking up to the front of the room, and these other three girls came out holding this cake with all these candles blazing, and everybody started to sing. You guys sing pretty good. I'm impressed. Not all meetings do, This one didn't. This one sang loud and bad. And I have a musical background. And so when 200 people started singing Happy Birthday, really bad, in 4 different keys at the same time, and many of them were not even committed to the key they started in. And I thought, who is leading this mess? Jesus Christ, they had a piano up on the stage with a sheet over it. I mean, somebody in this group must be able to play Happy Birthday on the fucking piano. I could do it. Maybe I ought to run up there and grab that yeah, that's what, run up there and grab that sheet off the piano. Here I come to save the day. You know, and Happy Birthday. Get everybody in the same key of G. I know what Happy Birthday key is, you know. And I thought, everybody that I talked to, I told them I wasn't staying. So I have no lines in this show. Just shut up, Doug. It's a short song. And let them sing it bad. That's what they like to do. They don't make a scene. So they finish, and then, of course, keep coming back. And I'm like, oh, my God. And then Ruth gets up. She says, my name's Ruth, and I'm an alcoholic. And everybody's, hi, Ruth! And I'm, Jesus Christ. I looked over at the other cool guy, you know, wow. And I thought, this is some level of lameness I never imagined was available to me. And Ruth says, I want you to know that over these last 18 years of sobriety, I've attended a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous every single day. And I'm starting to absorb this. I mean, what? And I looked over at the other cool guy who didn't seem to be bothered by this, and I'm thinking, you a little slow, ain't you, Ruth? You know? If I entered school as a freshman in college, in 18 years, I could be a brilliant surgeon or a famous attorney. And you don't drink? I mean, you know, I don't know how long it would take me to get this deal if I want it, but I know it's not going to take every day for 18 years. I am a quick study. I'm a hum a few bars and I'll fake it kind of guy. I look over at the other cool guy who is heading over to me now. Now I know he's a member. I don't know what he's doing back there. Maybe he's got the newcomer catcher commitment or something, but he's heading over to me now with his hand out and that, you know, sunshine for Jesus smile. And I'm like, what? What, church lady? He says, tell you what, you stay sober a year, we'll give you one of them cakes. Don't drink for a year, and I get a cake. You know? I mean, it seems like you ought to get a car or something. A cake. And I didn't want to offend him, because I knew he meant well, but I said, you know, I'm not much of a pastry eater. If I wanted a cake, I just, you know, stop at Safeway on the way home. I think they're like $5, or I could not drink for a year. Let me think about it. So I am not leaving. I am staying at this meeting no matter what, because every couple of seconds, something totally unexpected happens. Like every day for 18 years, and you get a cake if you don't drink for a year, and hi, Ruth, and I'm just like bad singing, and that's what I said to him, too. He said, you'll get a cake if you don't drink for a year. I said, will you sing, too? You know? So, but then somebody spoke for most of the meeting, got up and talked about themselves. And you know what's funny about it? I remember Ruth's name. And I remember Ruth. I can picture her right now. I remember the guy. I don't remember who spoke. I don't remember if the speaker was a man or a woman, let alone what he or she said. Maybe they weren't a very good speaker, or maybe it was some brilliant speaker. I have no idea. I can't tell you who was speaker that night. But I know people were nice to me, and I know that the secretary at one point held up this book, and she said, this is our big book, Alcoholics Anonymous. If you're new tonight, please don't leave without this book. And I thought, hey, they got a bunch of on the table over there. I'll steal the book. You got it, lady. I won't leave without the book. You know, I'm going to go. And I figured out how I could do it, too. I just go pick it up in plain sight, act like I'm fascinated with it. Look at this. This is great. This is really going to help with my somberority. It's great, terrific, and walk right out the door. And I just had this feeling that they'd say, let him go. And I still think that could have happened, except she screwed it up. She said, if you're new tonight and you're financially embarrassed, we understand it. We've been there. We want you to have this book. We'll make very liberal credit arrangements, including nothing down and nothing a week till you get back on your feet, which sounds very loving and generous. It's what we're supposed to do. But now, if I steal the book, you're just going to think I'm homeless. You know, you're going to think I'm not on my feet. So I don't care if that book costs $25, $30. It's a hardcover book. If you tell me it's free, I have to pay for it. You know, I know there are people in here that understand exactly what I'm saying. I have my pride. I don't accept your charity. So now I got to wait till the end of the meeting. And I went up to her and I said, hey, hi, can I buy one of your books? She said, oh, the big book? Yeah, the big book. I've seen bigger. How much is that big book? She said it's $5. Or she said it's $4.65. That's what she said. $4.65. Do you have it? Here's a $5. Keep the change. You know. I said, yeah, I got it. Yeah, I'm on my feet, lady. So she said, I'll get your change. No, use that to help a drunk. You know. I'm okay. I'm flush. And so I took that book. And I left that meeting, and I stopped and got a bottle of whiskey on the way home, and I got home, and I poured about 3 fingers of Irish whiskey, and I started to read this book. And not like study read it, but just to see kind of what was in it, sort of skim it, you know. Some of it I didn't even bother to read. I didn't read the doctor's opinion. Hell, I've had doctor's opinions. And they say things like, you ought to not drink so much, you know. So I got to the text of the meat of the book. Chapter 1, Bill's story. Who cares? Chapter 2, there's a solution. That's a sales pitch. I mean, I don't know. I was raised on TV. I see a sales pitch a mile away. Young man, there is a solution to your problem. The 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous will give you a life beyond your wildest drunken dreams. Next, chapter 3, more about alcoholism, which sounded absolutely fascinating. More about alcoholism. I'm going to save that till some night when I'm tweaking and feel like I got toothpicks in my eyelids, you know, and read more about alcoholism and just fade right out. And so I'm already on a roll. I'm up to chapter 4 already, We Agnostics, which surprised me. I didn't expect to find a chapter called We Agnostics. When I went to that first meeting, I liked pretty much everything I saw. I believed, probably because I had friends that I drank with who got sober in AA, but I believed that you people were drank like me and that you didn't drink anymore. Some people have trouble with one or the other or both of those concepts. I just accepted that. I was okay with that. I like the hugging and laughing. I like the camaraderie. There was a little craziness in the room, which I like. Not like here, but, you know. So this would have been a good meeting for me to come to. But I kind of liked what was going on there. A couple of things I didn't like. One was the not drinking for extended periods. That just seemed excessive. And the other one was the God stuff, a lot of God stuff. I expected zero God stuff. I expected no God stuff at all because my grandmother, who, by the way, sometimes I forget to mention that my grandmother was an alcoholic. I never saw her drink. When I was about 5 or 6, she found Jesus and got dedicated to the church and became an ordained minister in the Foursquare Gospel Church. So she didn't drink, and she was hostile to AA. And I sort of understand now how that could be. She had a Skid Row mission in San Pedro, and she helped people to save their souls. And along with saving their souls, they would quit drinking. So I knew you could get sober on soup and Jesus. It just never appealed to me. But she didn't like AA, probably because people left her mission, and if they went to AA, they either came back drunk or didn't come back. I could see how that could happen. Anyway, she never walked into a meeting. She died with 37 years of sobriety. But I thought that this was the secular way to get sober, where the smart people came to get sober without God. But when I came to my first meeting, it was all about power greater than yourself, and God as we understood him, and humbly asked him with a capital H, and admitted to God, and asked God, and told God, and prayed to God, and oh my God, God, and the last house on the block is Sunday school, for Christ's sake. And I was just very irritated by this. Because I didn't know where else to go if I wanted some help. And I didn't want anything to do with God. But now they got this chapter called We Agnostics, in the big book that the woman had said was the basic text of the program, the only authority on AA. So I poured about 3 fingers of whiskey again, and I read chapter 4 all the way through. And I finished, and I thought, I have no idea what I just read. And I poured some more whiskey, and I read chapter 4 again, and I thought, hello, focus, focus, you know. I did it again. I did it 6 times that night. Whiskey, read chapter 4. Till finally, some of what was actually in that chapter jumped out at me. There's several parts of it. One of them was a sentence that says, we found that God doesn't make too hard terms on those who seek him. And I didn't, it's so subtle, I didn't catch it the first couple of times I read it. But finally, I realized we found that God doesn't make too hard terms. I never heard that anyplace else. My grandmother's Pentecostal church certainly never said, we don't think God makes hard terms. If anything, I was openly hostile to every sect of every religion that I knew about. And the main reason was because every sect of every religion I knew about seemed to say, now I'm judging them from my alcoholic, practicing alcoholic position, but it seemed to me that every sect of every religion I knew about said there are certain spiritual hoops you have to jump through or God won't like you. And my grandmother's Pentecostal church would say things to me like, they said my name in less than a syllable. I always loved that. We are very sure that God makes hard times on those who seek him. Boy, God will not even hear your prayers unless you are baptized. And I don't mean sprinkled on the forehead like some Methodist. I'm talking about total submission, son. That's why we got a tank of water for Christ up here. Come on up, boy. We will soak you down, pull you up, washed in the blood of the Lamb. Praise Jesus, amen. Somebody get the boy a towel. And I'm 14, I'm going, they're going to drown me. She told them I touched myself, they're going to send my ass to Jesus tonight. And I just said, I got shrink to fit, brand new Levi's on. I wouldn't be able to ride my bike home, But hey, I'll be back, so I'm out of there. But it wasn't just the Pentecostals. My girlfriend was a Catholic. She had to go to confession, communion, confirmation, a bunch of other cons, so she could learn how many Hail Marys and Our Fathers were required to cleanse her soul of the various kinds of sins. And Catholics got them categorized. They don't just have sins. They got venial, menial, cardinal, mortal. Some of them you don't even have to do them if you think about them. Express way to hell, partner. It's like, whoa, whoa. That's tough. And my friend Michael was an Orthodox Jew, where he and his brother had to wear spit curls to public school. There's a loving God for it. Thou shalt wear spit curls to public school. We'll make a fighter of you, young man. And and then there were Buddhists and Hindus and Muslims. Oh my! So I just said, hey, I don't care. I'm over here. I'll put all the religions of the world on that side of the line, and I'll stay over here and make fun of them. So that's the guy that came to AA. But now I'm reading this book that the secretary had said was the only authority on AA, and it's got a whole chapter called We Agnostics. And it says, we found that God doesn't make too hard terms on those who seek him. And I realized what that said. And it goes on to say you don't have to accept anybody's concept of God. You don't have to accept anyone's concept of God. Not your sponsor, not your father, not your preacher, not your teacher, not your sister or brother. Find a concept of God that you're comfortable with, and that seems to be fine with the Creator. Now, I didn't have an epiphany when I understood what that was saying, but I went back to AA. And I went to AA for 8 months, And I didn't do anything right. I didn't have a sponsor. I didn't have a home group. I didn't read the book or take the steps. I didn't know what a tradition was. I didn't have a commitment. I didn't believe in God, and I was drinking every day. That stuff aside, I had a pretty good program, I guess, which was keep coming back. That was my whole deal for 8 months. One night I came home from a meeting. I had a bottle of whiskey. I laid on the floor, turned on the TV, and thought about what I heard at the meeting. I passed out, woke up about 3 a.m. The bottle's half full. This happened lots of nights, most nights. And I turned off the TV, and I got my bottle, and I crawled on my hands and knees through the living room, through the hallway to the bedroom, which I know some people call pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization, crawling on your hands and knees to your house. I just called it going to bed. Seemed like a good idea to me. I thought, first time I thought of it, it was like, hey, you can't fall off the floor. And so this one night I got in there and I stood up to get undressed and I fell. I spilled this whiskey all over the bed and I picked up the bottle. It was a little bit left, but most of it was in the bedspread. So I'm down on my knees, grabbed this bedspread, and started sucking whiskey out of the bedspread. A voice in my head says, hey, man, that ain't right. You thirsty? There's whiskey in the bottle. I said, no, I'm not thirsty. I'm frugal. I'll waste my life, but I ain't letting whiskey evaporate in the bedspread overnight. And I ran out of ideas. I was out of ideas, which is funny because when you're there, it seems like the loneliest, lost place in the world, and yet it's the place you really kind of have to be, almost have to be, to do the dumb stuff that we recommend to do around here, like the steps. And so, and I did a dumb thing. I said, God, if you're there, please help me, because I was out of ideas. I didn't think there was any God listening. I just said, God, if you're there, please help me. And over the next couple of weeks, I go in the Vaughn's Market. Somebody from AA is pushing a cart towards me just as I'm reaching for a bottle. I'm in my neighborhood liquor store. There's somebody from AA behind the counter of my neighborhood liquor store. That can't happen. I'm in a restaurant in Burbank, start to order a margarita. The waitress is somebody I know from AA. I've been going to AA and taking bogus chips. I got 4 different sobriety dates at 4 different groups. I'm not recommending this as a program of recovery. Most people that do it die of alcoholism, but it got every single day for a couple of weeks that happened. And I'm on the way to work one morning at 6:30, and I just finished a half pint of Bushmills, and I don't keep empty bottles in the car. They're illegal and useless. And so I roll down the window, and I toss this bottle just as the guy from AA is driving towards me. And I saw him as I let go of the bottle, and he saw me and waved, and it's bing, ding, bling, bling right in front of his car. And I thought, where the hell are these people coming from? You know, they're like cockroaches. Every time the light comes on, really, have we seen a person fail? And I thought it's like those miracles people talk about in AA meetings. And as soon as I thought the word miracle, it was like I could hear God laughing. And I pulled the car over to the side of the road, and I sat there going, no, it's not like that. I remembered I had been on my knees and said, God, if you're there, please help me. And from that day, every single day, some weird little coincidence would happen when I reached for a drink. I didn't stop drinking. I drank, but every day there was some little hurdle I had to jump over to get a drink. And I thought, is that what happens? You ask for help and you get the help? I was serious when I asked for the help. And I came to believe. I sat there in the car that morning and came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. And I went back to AA. And that was the beginning of my sobriety and the beginning of my hearing the music of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I talk a lot about the music of Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm out of time, but if you're new here, let me tell you about the music. The music of Alcoholics Anonymous is a rhythm and a harmony and a melody that run through this thing that make the words make sense. If the words aren't making sense to you, when you hear the music, they will. And I think the music is the laughter. We all come in here feeling like we're never going to laugh again. And you see people laughing in AA, and you go, what the hell's so goddamn funny? I'm dying here. and people laugh, and you hear somebody laughing, and you realize it's you. I don't know how many people, I've heard hundreds of people say, I heard somebody laughing, and I realized it was me. And we come in here, and we start to laugh, and we laugh ourselves weller than we were before we got sick. If that isn't a miracle, I don't know what is. You guys gave me that gift, and I can't thank you enough for it.